kpft.com and kpft.org.
Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. And of course, good morning to Northeast Texas, Southeast Texas, Northwest Louisiana, Southwest Louisiana, and to all the nooks and crannies receiving that signal from our high-speed transmitter, or 100,000 watt high-speed transmitter into those magical boxes known as radio, aka Howard Renal boxes. Welcome to the entire world via the internet, formerly known as ARPANET, created by whom? We the people, and controlled by whom? The billionaire plutocrats. And who will wrestle it back from them? We will. We will ensure that policies, from AI policies to all other types of policies, do exactly what they are supposed to do. Make life better for all of us, not just some. But without further ado, let's go to El Estudio con el señor Howard Reynolds and Jacques Van Beba.
Well, here we are one more time. It is Tuesday morning at the radio here at KPFT. And Jack, I want to congratulate you on a year and a half of doing this.
All right.
Yeah,
it's been 18 months.
I know. And you have learned so much, and you can just run this place by yourself.
With a little help from my friends.
All aboard here. Hey, we found this little cool whistle in here. We had these things over at K-News, and they were a promotional thing. They're a piece of wood carved out to a train whistle. It's really kind of cool.
Now we need a kazoo.
Really, a train whistle and a kazoo.
Yeah.
Then you could sound like the Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
I'm sure interim general manager Sandy Wyman heard that and went, "What? Are you dissing
Get a rope.
Are you dissing the dead? Get a rope."
Get a rope.
Oh, wait, you're playing that directly into the microphone, or are you doing it through electronics?
It's a mechanical.
It was live in the recording studios of KVFT.
Oh, wow, okay.
And now a train whistle. They shouldn't leave stuff like that in the control room.
Yeah, you know what we should do? Hey, when one of our great callers make a good point, you guys should do whoop whoop and play that. That'd be cool.
Never hear that from Brian, but there are others.
No, he could surprise.
We love Brian.
I am sure Jack will surprise us all, man. Anyhow, what's up, guys?
He's got some wisdom here.
Well, I was starting to write some wisdom, and it just wasn't coming. So I'm just gonna, gonna ask the question point blank. How many conflicts is America involved in right now?
A lot.
Internally or externally?
No, wars out where they're killing people in the streets.
Oh gosh, Israel, those Palestinians, where else?
Lebanon,
West Africa. Yep.
West Africa.
We're all over
Ukraine, the place. Korea's coming into the picture. I'm thinking that maybe America ought to take a good look at itself and what it's doing.
Actually, I agree with you. I mean, yesterday I did a podcast. Well, actually, it's a radio show with Oscar Hernandez from WPFW, and it was amazing because we were talking about how it seems like we're all over the place just doing things, not good things.
I know.
Yeah, and we have elected a president that, for all intents and purposes, may be a little unbalanced. The only word there is little.
That is probably the nicest thing to say. Unbalanced? Well, okay, Jack.
And he claimed he's going to get rid of the Forever Wars. Well, let's see. Let's see what happens.
He's not going to do anything. He's going to enrich his rich buddies more, crush the middle income people, and, well, basically that's going to be it.
Ride it to the ground.
Yeah, well, that's what he did in his last administration. So we'll see about this one. Because for better or for worse, that's what it is.
That's what it is.
You know, let me just make your day, Jack, because we got kicked out of Niger in West Africa, I think sometime in August. So I started to look it up after you said that, and it says, yeah, you got kicked out. We don't have a presence in that big sprawling base in Niger anymore. So, hey, I guess we have about another 800 to go so that we can bring all our men home, our men and women home.
Yeah, well, that's it from the peanut gallery this morning. As peanuts.
No, Jack hasn't spoken yet.
Oh, he said he didn't have any wisdom. Just
well, that was just I was trying to write that out, but it just seemed better to ask the question.
Yeah,
oh, okay. Well, that's good. That's good. That's question to be answered, and who knows, one of our great callers may answer that question. But anyway, folks, as you guys know by now, yesterday's show was taped, but new. All those interviews, I have so many interviews, good interviews to put out here that, sometimes that it saves the day. Let me just say, I had a hell of a weekend. It was a Panamanian weekend where we brought some firemen, we call them the first responders from Panama, to celebrate the Veterans Day. Yesterday was Veterans Day, and we attended the Veterans Day parade. We had a contingent of, I don't know, probably just under 100. Well, actually, the big band didn't come, so it was probably about 50 something Panamanians or so marching with, the veterans who fought in the Korean War, the Vietnam War, and all these other wars on behalf of the United States. We've lost thousands of Panamanians, and I'm not talking about just injured, but deaths. Thousands of Panamanians have also fought in all these wars, including Iraq. And my good friend from Panama, Roberto Luis, formed a group called Pantex as a veteran. It's a 501c3, and his dream was to have a weekend to expose what our folks from our culture has done in this country. And I kind of lent some legs, very little legs to it, because again, like I said, this was his dream to put out there. And we had 3 days of Veterans Day celebration with a whole bunch of Panamanians right here in Houston, and many who flew in from all over the country and from Panama. And it was a wonderful thing, culminating in the parade yesterday. And we were a big part of that parade downtown, as we saw the Panamanians with their polleras, which is a dress style that we have, the women in these beautiful dresses with colors and a lot of beads in their hair. And the men, the montunos, which is they're dressed in a kind of simple black and white, sort of like a guayabera, something that we wear. And, was very well received in downtown. But one of the things that we wanted to do, as I was telling Roberto, is that we wanted to show with the state that we have in this world, the way Trump speaks about those folks that are south of the border, they are animals. In other words, we are animals. Those of us that came and naturalized and became U.S. citizens, we are animals, criminals, and all these things. But the truth of the matter is, what we showed yesterday are folks who fought for this country, lost members of this country. After I gave the little talk when our band, rather not band, but when our group passed, I kind of gave a little spiel about what we are, who we are, and what we've done, our positive doings for this country. As I walked back in, after I did that, I walked into our crowd, not our crowd, our desfile, our group that was marching. And just one of the Panamanian chicks just slapped me and said, you know, that is true. My uncle, or I don't remember, died in the Vietnam War. You know, I mean, just if most Americans understood that the people that come here south of the border have always been, not sometimes been, have always been a net positive for this country. Always been a net positive for this country. Because in fact, this country was formed by people who came here. But I always, whenever you feel that angst toward the immigrant, whenever you feel that you want to disparage the immigrant, whenever you think the immigrant is taking something from you, the first thing to remember is many of the, well, not all of the founders were immigrants to this country. But unlike the immigrants of today, and this is important to inculcate in one's mind, you know, this is not an attack, this is not a charge, this is just a reality check. The immigrants that are coming over here today, the vast majority aren't criminals. I'm talking about criminals or what you count on the fingers. The vast majority are not criminals. All they're coming for here is to make a better life for themselves. They're coming, and in making a better life for themselves, they have actually assisted in America. From the people who are doing your lawns to the Steve Jobs of Arab descent, to all those folks in Silicon Valley, all those folks that have been innovative. These are immigrants coming to this land. And one last point. These immigrants are coming not to conquer, but to work. Our original immigrants here came, conquered, maimed, killed, enslaved. So before you point your finger at anybody crossing the border today, remember those who crossed the border in 1619 or elsewhere. Remember, that was crossed in the form of conquering. That is not an attack on any specific, because I don't know of any country that was formed without some sort of a violence, the nature of humanity that we are trying to mitigate right now. I don't think we should have that problem. That's why, in as much as I don't support war, I also don't support what Russia has done to Ukraine. I don't support what Israel is doing to Gaza. But let's keep perspective. That angst that got Trump elected, that fear that got Trump elected, is something that we have to work on from within. And we have to learn that. Make us better people. Make us better people. Welcome to Politics Done Right. Eric Hayes is in the chat. Lee the Bearcat is in the chat. Don't see anybody else quite yet. But look, today's program is titled How One Vote. That doesn't make it. I must have been kind of sleepy when I wrote that. How one vote Trump AOC. Should have said how can one vote Trump AOC ticket. The other one is Nick Fuentes now laughs at women after getting their vote. And some Glaude's truth. Dr. Glaude, that is. So I want to start the program today with a short video that I did over the weekend, just before I went to our Panamanian Gala, where we actually had the little thing that we celebrated those firemen that came in. I want to play this and then you can call in and tell me your thoughts and what you think about this dialogue with Eddie Glaude, and then with myself and my friend from Jamaica. Check this out. Let me make sure it's all queued up correctly. Yes, it is.
You know, I want you guys to listen to this interaction between Stephanie Ruhle and Eddie Glaude, because Eddie Glaude finally got her to do something rarely you would see a host do, Norman. I want you to listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
All right, let's go.
Eddie, the fact that we were all so blindsided by the election results, does that tell us that identity politics is silencing people? Because even I can see in my social media feed in the last couple of days, all these people are suddenly like, yeah, that was my guy. We're hearing stories in the suburbs the day after the election. People are now putting Trump signs up.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, but let's be clear, Trumpism is a form of identity politics.
Amen.
We don't want to say that this, my beautiful white skin, remember? That's what he said?
Yes.
Tucker Carlson saying in Madison Square Garden, we have been given permission to call BS on this wokeism stuff. We will no longer be made to feel guilty. That comes straight out of, we will not be replaced. That came straight out of Tucker
Carlson. There were a lot of people who voted for Donald Trump who didn't listen to the rally and who don't know who Tucker Carlson is, but who are super unhappy about inflation, that they can't afford their lives, and they voted for him. And they're not buying into fascism.
I get that, but I think they have an idea, though, that whenever the incoherence of the country comes into full view, the tricky magic of falling into place, falling behind a notion of whiteness that could hold off all the reason why all hell is breaking loose economically, right, is because big government is putting its thumb on the scale and redistributing resources from deserving people to undeserving people, right? So there's this sense, right, that whiteness, right, is under threat. The demographic shifts. The country isn't what all of these racially ambiguous children on Cheerios commercials are confusing the hell out of me.
A lot of people voted because their life's too damn expensive, and it was here, and it.
They voted for. You're telling me that all of these people who believe that their lives are, that bread is too high and eggs are too high, that they voted for a convicted felon, a guy who said we can grab the pea.
I think that a lot.
They voted for this guy.
I'm not defending it. But I think there are tons of people that don't pay attention to, and I'm not defending it, don't pay attention to politics at all. But while we live in the most prosperous country in the world, people are saying life's not fair. I'm not doing well. My son's still living in the basement. I can't seem to get a job. I don't like the status quo. I'm voting for something else. And he was the person.
I love you to life.
I love you.
But I do not believe that. I cannot believe that. And the reason I think you believe it is because you don't want to believe that that's what's really motivating them. It's always the case. People don't want to believe what the country actually is, because if they believe it, they're going to have to confront what's in them. I don't believe that. They voted for a crook, a person who they know is stealing from, just doing everything to undermine the so-called country that they love. And then they're telling us the BS that it's economics. We know that's not true. We know it's not true. And we got to raise our kids in this shit. Oops.
You're allowed.
Go ahead.
You're allowed.
I do think it's pretty clear that we don't share the same deal breakers as a country that I would have hoped for.
Okay, this is what I think.
So this
is what I think. This is what I think.
Which is to say that there are certain things that should obviously be disqualifying. How he has approached the question of race alone is disqualifying.
Agreed.
Without question. What he has done in the laundry list you just alluded to, felonies, rape in a civil trial, down the list, 40 or so cabinet members who say, we cannot work for this guy, we can't support this guy.
Yes.
All of that stuff. Why isn't it disqualifying? On some level, it's because they opted in and saw it and said, not bothered by it. Not as important to me as change that I personally can believe in. Selfishness, right? But the other thing that makes this so bleak that I keep on returning to is that some people also just don't care enough to know and or just don't know. Right? When I think about the way that
I'm not excusing it, but I think that's the case.
I wish I could isolate the variable of malice versus ignorance. I believe that a recurring through line of our time is that it's becoming increasingly impossible to know. And maybe that's a distinction without a difference, right? Maybe we have the responsibility to know, but we are living in a media ecosystem in which there is no mainstream. And Eddie, I just can't count on everybody having the information in a way that I grew up knowing and hoping our country would.
Anyway, did Eddie Glaude do the right thing finally on national TV in the way he addressed her with love, but in the way he addressed Stephanie Ruhle?
I think he did. I think that is what a lot of other people, POCs have been saying this a long time. We're the ones at risk. We didn't pull a race card.
Right.
It's been created for us. So, so if you're in a situation in which you cannot say, look, my country is not what I thought it was.
And that is a hurtful part. I mean, a lot of people think that most Americans are hurting because Kamala didn't get elected. It's not that we're hurting because Kamala didn't get elected. They're hurting because America looked into their faces and said, you know what? A person who's done all that America said you're supposed to do. You got an education. You got a good job. You service the community. You are, for the most part, truthful. Running up against a criminal, not just somebody that we think is a criminal, somebody by his own words, by his own deed is a criminal. And you lose an election and then you claim it's the economy. Norman, no matter what, it may be true that the economy for many, is bad. That may be true.
Yes.
But the truth of the matter is it's no different or not substantively different than when Donald Trump crashed the economy and we rebuilt.
No. Look, we all want to have a scapegoat for this. But in reality, what happened for me on Wednesday was I had to come face to face with the destruction of the myth of the America that I believed in.
Yeah.
I believed in a country that was post-World War II. People would stand up against fascism. I thought people were strong in their belief in each other. I'm disappointed. I've got a wake-up call in my own people because I'm an American. Above all things, I choose to live here, and this is where I want to be. But I'm disappointed.
And justifiably so. And until hosts like Stephanie Ruhle stop thinking that somehow this election was because of economic issues, other than the core issue. And you hear you hear the media trying to analyze in all different forms, not to say basically why Kamala lost. Kamala lost not only for the same reason Hillary lost, but she also lost for her hue. And until we realize that, we're going nowhere. So I want to thank Eddie Glaude for being brave enough to go on national TV and say something that we all know. Stephanie Ruhle doesn't want to know it because at the core, she's going to have to say a lot of my friends and family, that's who they are.
Hold on. I don't think it's because Stephanie Ruhle doesn't know it. I think
she doesn't want to know it.
She does. She's not allowed to say this. This is corporate media.
You know what? I think you're right.
This is a tangible thing. She wants to sell herself. She will not call out her own folks in her own back room that do bad things, right? She won't say anything about all the things that happened in 2016, all the way up to this election.
Norman, I think I gotta agree with you. So I think Stephanie Ruhle knows better, but she's also looking out for her interests as well. But she gave, at least there's one thing we got to give her latitude for. She gave Eddie Glaude the opportunity to say what both you and I know.
And thanks to Eddie Glaude for saying it out loud.
Absolutely. Folks, we have to live in a better country. We have to fix this country.
Yes, we do. We have to fix the country. We have to make a better country. Eric K says, denying the reality that got Orange Man elected will only make it worse for the opposition. I don't think any of us are denying the reality that Trump got elected. We know exactly that he got elected, and we know exactly why he got elected. Okay, there's another piece that I have, but it's another 9-minute piece that I don't know if I want to put on or just wait for calls to come in. You can call 713-526-5738. Again, the number is 713-526-5738 to discuss this if you want to. But there's a whole lot more to the story. I mean, there's a lot more to the story of Trump's election. You have to ask yourself, how there's this story that there are a lot of AOC voters who also voted for Donald Trump. Not a lot, I shouldn't say a lot, but there's some AOC voters. And that falls, when you analyze the rationale behind it, it falls right into place as well with what we've been discussing. It falls perfectly into place. Anyway, folks, the telephone number is 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. The lines are open. All of them are open, so you should get through fairly quickly. But it's important, folks, for us to take this seriously. You know, the hurt is real that a competent woman would be beaten. And I mean, and by the way, let's get this clear. The election was close, but it was decisive. In other words, it was decisive in one direction, however close that it was. Let's go to Bard. Come on in, Bard.
Good morning, Egberto. This is Buzzard Meat calling. This is your Christian constitutionalist garbage listener that calls in. Now I know you're going to hang up on me or cut me off, and that's fine. This is your show, and you're...
Stop right there. Stop right there. When have I ever cut you off, as long as you're not using the airwaves that belong to all Americans to simply lie and mislead? Oh, something happened. I don't know what happened. But anyway, I don't know what happened to you there. I think we may be having a little bit of phone problem, so we'll figure that out. We'll figure that out at some time. Okay. Look. To be clear, I don't cut off anybody who has different opinions. Let me be clear about that. But if you ever call here and try to use the American airwaves to misinform in such, and look, misinforming means something, right? Misinforming means that you come out and tell something that isn't true. There's also disinformation. I won't allow disinformation because that is purposeful. Let's go to Dennis. I won't allow disinformation because that is purposeful. All right, Dennis, let's get to Dennis and then we'll continue. We may be having a tad bit of phone problems here. So it's not that we're trying to hang up on it.
Oh, there's a lot of calls coming in, and Jack's busy doing it, so he may not be paying.
Yeah.
Well,
he got it. Dennis,
okay,
you're on,
Dennis.
Come on, Dennis. Dennis, you're on.
Hello?
Yes, you're on, Dennis. Come on in.
Are you sure? I think it's Harry.
Okay. All right. Okay, Harry.
Harry.
Come on in, Harry.
Okay. Well, this is my advice to the Democrats. It's I think I learned yesterday it's 53 to 47 in the Senate. So what the Democrats have to do going forward, what they've been talking about, while I've been listening on these other political shows, they're going to have to start, as they know, they're going to have to start work on the midterms. I know there are going to be people out there protesting in January for abortion rights and all that, and that's fine to do all that. But start work on these midterms and don't help the Republicans out while in these first 2 years, so that they don't, so that they need to block a lot of what Donald Trump is going to do that's going to hurt Americans. As you said last week, Huberto, a lot of these people that voted for Trump is going to hurt them because a lot of them, they wanted to hear what Trump told them what they wanted to hear, which is a lot of lies. And they just are, a lot of Americans are frustrated, and there are Americans, as I said on this show before, who don't really understand this man as a con man. That's what he is, a grifter. Howard has said it, Jack has said it, you have said it. So what they've got to do, the Democrats got to listen to people like Bernie Sanders. They have to listen to Ralph Nader, people like that who care about most Americans, and they've got to get to once they get that Senate back in 2 years, and they can get, and if they lose the House, this time. The Republicans will have a small majority. Just don't help them out to hurt this country and vote on things that are going to hurt this country. And
Well,
try
let me
to block
let me stop you a second there, my brother Harry. Give 2 minutes. Let me just say one thing, right? This is what I've been saying. I don't want us to win. The Congress is still up for grabs, but it seems to be leaning Republican, and I want it to stay that way. I mean, look, the voters have spoken. The American voters have spoken. They want Donald Trump. Okay? And every single county in America shifted to the right. Let's give America what it asked for. Okay? And for all those folks that didn't go out and vote, the vote that we got here is what we asked for. Now let's show America what a unstoppable right-wing government looks like. Let's see what it looks like for poor people. Let's see what it looks like for women. Let's see what it looks like for all these things, because don't forget now, again, there are several groups that shouldn't have voted for Donald Trump based on what he said he will do to them that voted for them. So now I don't want to give Republicans any excuses for the failure that will occur under them. I want them in full control, and everybody, I think, needs to feel the pain. Those people who didn't vote need to feel the pain. Those people who voted third party in Michigan and elsewhere need to feel the pain. Because you know what? That was our choice. That's the choice. Let's let you see what it can do. Harry, I got to go to Dennis. Thank you so kindly, my brother. Come on in, Dennis.
Good morning, Alberto. Hey, I just wanted
Good morning,
to say
my brother.
Yes, I really enjoyed yesterday's show with those interviews you had. Very informative. But the question I wanted to ask you, I've been on Medicare Advantage here in this last year, and what to do if I decided, based somewhat on the advice you've been giving, I want to give back to regular Medicare.
Let's talk about that. Yeah, let's talk about that. That's important, right? Look, first of all, let's be clear. I am not an expert, so you should always go to see an unbiased expert that doesn't sell, that just knows Medicare, and that is not trying to keep you on Medicare Advantage or trying to get Medicare Advantage. And you know what? I need to put up a paper on that I don't have yet, that gives you who to go to for that kind of advice. That's a licensed people or etc. I'll do that over the next week or so, or I'll try to do that over the next week. But here's the deal: everybody can simply go back and get A and B, right? Which is a standard Medicare, standard Medicare, Part A, Part B. Part C is what you get with Medicare Advantage. Here is the only issue. If you are still healthy, you can probably get the Medigap program that will pay the 20% in ears and throats and that kind of stuff that traditional Medicare doesn't cover. Okay? That's a big problem in going back from Medicare Advantage to Medicare, getting the coverage for the 20%. It's usually if you're sickly and trying to get back after you become sickly, you could find that the Medigap insurance for that 20% is cost prohibitive. And that's the problem.
On your show, that one individual that had cancer, I think it's the second interview had you.
Yes.
And you were, I'm healthy as a bull, but I'm worried about the future. I have A and B. And what's concerning me right now is this, it's confusing when they talk about in this time period, and then they say there's like 3 time periods where you can change.
You don't have any of that with, again, that is only because it's a private sector, right? And I said the private sector does not belong in insurance. And folks, I want you guys to listen to what this conversation, very important. Here's the thing, brother. I'm glad you said you're healthy as an ox. Talk to somebody, and remember, I'm a host, just a host that researches a lot, but a host. You should go to somebody who knows. But the thing that I suggest to people, if you're healthy, Medicare Medicare's traditional Medicare is always what you want. The Medigap, you can actually get Medigap. Being a healthy person, you'll probably be able to get a Medigap at a reasonable cost if you've had no health issues, etc. And when you talk about, well, you want to do it while you can, meaning go from Advantage to the other thing, then my brother, that would be my advice. But like I said, you don't take my advice, you take professional advice. But you can, absolutely everybody can go from Medicare Advantage to traditional Medicare. The problem will be getting a coverage for the 20% Medicare does not cover. The other thing that I want to make everybody aware of, one of our callers, we have great callers, called in and made it clear that right now, our government is allowing the private insurance companies from throwing you into a Medicare Advantage plan and just giving you the option to opt out, to say, no, I don't want it. And if you don't do that within a few weeks, you're in. And all the perils that we've spoken about applies to you, even though it's not what you wanted. So people, we have to be aware of what these parasites are doing to us right now, my brother Dennis.
So
anything else?
I just want to know, are we within a time frame when I can call somebody and say, hey, I don't want this Medicare Advantage, I want to get back to regular Medicare? But
no, you can go to Medicare anytime. The thing about it is the Medicare Advantage is when they have the opt-in periods, okay? But when it comes to standard Medicare, you can just say, I want to can this baby and go to Medicare.
Awesome. I'll continue listening to the show. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. You have a good one. All right, let's go ahead and go to Augie. Come on in, Augie.
Good morning. I liked your show yesterday.
Thank
but
you.
I was reading this from 2015 when the debates were going on for the 2016 election. And Jeb Bush said, you're not going to be able to insult your way to the presidency. He said that to Trump. Boy, was he wrong about that. And I was thinking, Veterans Day yesterday, I guess a lot of people don't know that Ronald Reagan and Republicans gutted the American military, where it can no longer fight on its own. It relies on the National Guard and the reserves now to help it. And the recruiter.
Wait, can I cut you a bit, Augie? It's worse than that. And remember, there's a reason why they do this, why the GOP does this. It's because not that they really want to gut the military, is that they like the idea of working with private contractors. So we have mercenaries that are all over the world working under, the tutelage of under the United States. We have mercenaries all over. Panama, Haiti, everywhere. Mercenaries by the Blackstone, I think, controls them. I mean, one of these these firms. Yeah. So it's all about making money. War for these guys. It's money, right? We make a lot of money on the bombs, and we make a lot of money of the companies who hire ex-military to go on.
Yeah, and even guard our embassy personnel in the Middle East. In Libya, when 2 of our staffers were killed, they were guarded by 2 mercenaries, and all 4 of them were killed. And then they blamed Hillary for them being killed. These were grown men. They knew what they were getting into. Hillary had nothing to do with it.
Absolutely.
When Libya. But, they don't know that active duty can't do its job because they don't have enough men. Republicans reduced the military force, and we had to get immigrants in there, like 1,600 of them went active duty, joined the Army and Marines, and fought in the Afghanistan.
They recruit in Panama. That's what I was trying to tell folks. People talk about those of us that came over from the South. I have so many relatives that have fought for this country, right? Many relatives that have fought for this country. Net positive, brother. But look, Augie, I'm filled up, so I got to go get another call. Anything else real quick you need to say?
Well, my father, he fought in World War II. He was there at D-Day, Battle of the Bulge, and battles in between. And he fought against the fascists. And I was just wondering what he would think about the fascists that we got in America today.
We know what he will think. Augie, you and I both know what he would think, Augie. But thank you so much. Thank you for the service of your father. And I think you served as well, right?
Right, during Vietnam and then 23 days.
And thank you for your service. We celebrated you yesterday, brother. Thank you so kindly. Let's go ahead and go. Thank you, Augie. Let's go to Patrick.
Hey,
Patrick, you're on. Good morning, my brother. Talk to me.
Hey, good morning. Well, first off, I wanted to say I missed you, Augie. You're one of the best callers that we have, and I wasn't sure if your timeline changed or what, but you always brought a lot to this program, and I hope you start calling back in again. Now I want to bounce over to Eric Hayes. I want you to focus a little bit on how he chooses to speak, and he's not alone. In fact, it's almost 100% across the board. He speaks to us as an opposition instead of a different choice or a something else. Opposition is a very aggressive word, and this is something that's been done to him by right-wing radio and other programs. The Republican Party made the decision, and the Democratic Party probably would have too had they been offered the choice, but the Republican Party seemed to have been the easiest choice to purchase by multinational corporations and think tanks. And that Heritage Foundation for 25 years now has been telling these people how bad people from the left are. And they heard it long enough that they believe it. And I'm not going to be his opposition. I'm not going to be his opposition. I'll have a conversation with him, and we might not agree, but I'm not angry at him. I understand what's going on.
You know, they've done a real bad thing to this country, right? I don't know if you heard the story that I've told, sitting down talking to a woman in the in feeling guilty speaking to this woman at Starbucks, and she turns around after we had a great conversation, and not only that, but she was agreeing on all these political liberal policies that I was saying, and I felt so guilty. I look at her and I said, ma'am, I don't know if you understand, but I am really a left-wing liberal. She turned red like a cherry, looked at me in my eye and said, but you're so nice. And I said, maybe you should go out more often and have dinner with liberal ladies who lunch. Because they've really made a caricature out of us. Go ahead, Patrick.
And I've worked places where right-wing radio goes on for half a day, and every third to fifth point is Democrats ruining the country, left ruining the country. Well, we're more worried about a population that might make up 1% of the culture and doesn't even want to be known much of the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's ridiculous.
We're destroying the country over that. I mean, we all hate each other because we're told how to hate. I didn't plan on making a phone call that long. I just wanted to point out that
I got you.
Yeah, we're in a situation, but half of us were pushed into it, and they because everybody else went along with it, they didn't realize it wasn't the right thing. But it definitely is not the right thing to hate. It is definitely not the right thing to dismantle democracy because you don't like people that aren't like you.
Yep. You nailed it, Patrick. I'll see you at 3. Well, I think I'll see you at 3. Or rather, we'll talk at 3.
Yeah, you will.
Have a good one, my brother. Let's go to let's see, brother Tag. Come on in, Tag.
Egberto, I wanted to say that you hit the nail on the head this morning.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
I feel the same way about this right-wing political swing. You know, let Americans find out what happens when you have a right-wing government in control. I don't think they're going to appreciate it very much. But the pendulum swings back and forth. And we have to be willing to hang on when the swing happens.
Yeah,
So,
you know, there's
just
another
like-
thing though, Tag. There's another thing, right? And it goes like, you know, the pendulum look. The pendulum swings all the time, including in Great Britain, right? But Great Britain never loses. There are certain things in Great Britain that is not negotiable, even though they're at the edges. They're kind of messing with it, and that is universal health care, not negotiable. A good social safety net. UK, Denmark, Switzerland, all these places, the people are happy because of what? A social safety net that doesn't destroy the economy, but at the same time acknowledges humanity. And our problem here, in my humble opinion, is that when Democrats are in control, as opposed to going whole hog and giving America a taste of what humanity feels like with a great social safety net, they allow the billionaires and others to have them cower in the services they provide. But, you know, at some time we'll get enough progressives in there to create critical mass, but it's a slow process. Anything, Tag? I got to go to some other calls.
Yeah, real quick. I just wanted to say that we can kind of see what would happen, what will happen in the United States if we look at what's happening in other countries, like you just said with England. And
Right.
But just yesterday in Afghanistan, they banned women from speaking in public at all. A woman's voice cannot be heard in public at all. Of course, they can't show any of their skin in
Right.
Afghanistan, and people don't seem to understand that. You know, it may not get quite that bad here, but we're headed in that direction under a right-wing regime, and where women won't even have a voice.
Look, they've already lost control of your body. So, yeah, thank you, Tag. I got to go to Derek. Brother Derek, come on in.
Hey, good morning. Brother Berto,
Good morning, sir.
You know, more than anything, man, good morning. More than anything, man, the United States need to have a mirror and see themselves. You familiar with what spiritual blindness is, right, Roberto?
Yeah, yes, sir, I am.
Yeah, you could be sitting up at looking at a mirror and you don't even see the flaws, your own flaws that's sitting in the mirror. That vote showed the moral decadence, the immorality that exists within the heart of the people. I know we want to say, use the play on words. Well, we're talking some. But when you look at that map and you look at all of the red and all of the little concentrated blue areas, I wonder, could you really honestly say in your heart that, oh, it's some people that don't think like this guy? Don't give me that some stuff. We suffer from an immoral rot that exists and it has existed in this country for a long time. That's why it was so easy for them to turn their back. That man didn't lie. That whole deal that you phrased earlier, them people weren't lying. This is what is existing here, brother. So, you know, I don't know what it's gonna take at this point, but it's just like you said, they want people to see the ugliness of what's gonna take place with an all conservative Republican Party and running policies and stuff. But I think a lot of folks are really far gone, Alberto, at this point to just say everything that you say, well, that is not Trump. That's not Donald. Yes,
Well,
it is.
Well, you know, look, the only, like I said, I was on a interview yesterday with Oscar Fernandez in DC, right? We're talking about the why did Latino men vote for Trump? And it's ironic because here I was, the black Latino. We had a indigenous looking, who's Oscar Fernandez looking Latino, and a white Latino from Cuba. And the white Latino from Cuba, which I'm going to have on our program as well, said, man, I feel so ashamed because I understand what happened. And what he said happened is, look, they don't want to talk about it, but we are the microcosm of what it means to be assimilated. And he said the assimilation part was, if we do this, we're closer to white America. That's what my white brother from Cuba had to say, right? And my white brother from I forgot the other program that I interviewed with. He says the exact same thing, you know. And what we have to do, as you say, Derek, is we have to look, all of us, because remember, I have a Trump voting sister. Okay, I can empathize with the entire field. I get it. I understand the brainwash. I understand the self-hate. I understand the fear of losing a superiority that in reality you never had. I understand all of that. The problem is, are we willing for all of us to understand? Hey, Brian, I don't have a lot of time and I got to take another several calls, okay? I mean, Derek. Thank you, my brother. I got to go to Brian. Come on in, Brian.
Good morning, everyone. How is everyone doing?
We're doing fine, my brother. Talk to me.
Okay. I guess the American people spoke, and the left wing just doesn't accept it. Okay.
That's not true, Brian. Brian, that's not true. Brian, that's not true. When the right wing lost, they invaded the Capitol. They threw feces around. They broke glasses. A few cops died in the process. That is what happened when the right lost. Wait a minute. When we lost, we didn't come out and say the election was stolen. You show me one left winger that has said the election was stolen. I told you right here on this show, Trump won fair and square. Of course, he lied to win, but he won fair and square. Hey, that's politics. We accepted it. We still have people on your side that are refusing to say he lost. But we are not like that. Continue, my brother.
Okay, she ran on a very flawed system. I don't know who was telling her what to do, but they were totally wrong. It was reproductive rights that she ran on. But in essence, we found out Oprah Winfrey was paid $1 million. Okay? The people that sung with her, they were paid millions of dollars. And again,
can I agree with you? Can I agree with you with something, Brian? Brian, let me agree with you with something, okay?
Yeah.
Kamala Harris got $1.something billion collected from all of you. I'm taking from all the progressives who donated to her. And bloggers and all these other folks that are closest to the people didn't get any money to do work for talking to people. But the consultants did, and a lot of the people on top did. So I'm going to tell you something, Brian. Even though I don't think you're saying it with the right spirit, I'm going to tell you that you're right about calling out how many people got some big bucks from a lot of folks out there who gave $5 here and $10 here and $6 here. And a lot of that money went as lump sum, $10,000 to this consultant, $100,000 for this consultant. You ain't going to get an argument from me, Brian. But Brian, I got to go to David. So why don't we just end on an agreement? All right?
Yeah, she lost every county in Oklahoma.
All right.
Every
Again,
county.
hey, brother, I said let's end this discussion on an agreement. We agreed. Come on. Don't bring up something else. Take care, brother. We talk later.
Have a good day.
All right. Let's go to David. Come on in, David.
Oh, thanks, Egberto. You know, a couple of different things. You remember the social contract was how America whooped the king. The king pretended that he was put in charge by God. And, of course, God wants the king to look out after every sparrow, the poor. And King Henry, or what was it, King George III, was taking all of the America's taxes and going back, hauling it back to London and having a party with it. And he was not only not looking out for the poor, he wasn't even looking out for the rich. That's one of the reasons why the Founding Fathers, who were the richest people in the country, wanted to get rid of that jackass. He wasn't even reinvesting in his own colonies. So not only was he not living up to the precept of looking out for every sparrow, he wasn't even looking out for the hawks. So, that the social contract was the idea that we, the people, can run our own lives, thank you, and we don't need a king. And the idea that Trump basically ran a campaign that the proud loner is the one that gets stuff done, and that the people that band together, united we stand, divided we fall, that they're some kind of commies. So they've been pulling that crap. And,
David,
and when
you nailed it. David, you nailed it. But I got to go to Donald real quick. So you nailed it, brother. Appreciate you. Let's talk tomorrow. Donald, come on in.
Morning, Alberto. Remember the mirror in the literature I told you a long time ago?
Yes.
And since you're on the pit and the pendulum, go ahead and read the Telltale Heart and the Raven, because the Telltale Heart was obviously left somewhere else when some of these people voted. But it'll tell off later. And that's it.
Thank you, brother. Always have a good word. All right, Dennis, you only got 15 seconds, but you can come again.
Yes, sir. Hey, just wanted to point out the presidential election in 1972. I thought McGovern was the better choice by far. He got trounced by Nixon, and look how that turned out.
Thank you. Very good point, and thanks for pointing that out. Yep, in 72 was a big landslide, one of our second largest landslide, if I recall correctly. Anyway, folks, that is pretty much a show. I got to jump to the studio before they jump back.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing a few days ago, that in 1972, Richard Nixon won by landslide. By 1974, it was all over. And that is just about what I'm predicting here. 18 months, people are going to go, you won't be able to find anybody who voted for Trump in 18 months. They're going to go, oh, no, this is not what I voted for. Yeah, be careful what you vote for, because you just may get it.
Amen. Jack?
Jack? He says no.
All right. Anyway, folks, look, tomorrow I'm heading to Austin to take these firemen back to the airport to Panama. So I'm not sure, but I'll talk to Howard later, and I may have a tape show, but all new interviews. And guys, I have some solid interviews for you. So I'm not sure yet. I'll let everybody, well, if you hear a taped interview, you know why, but it's always worth tuning in. We work to make sure you get what you need. Love you all, folks. Mucho amor. And also, remember, the rest of the show is at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!
You're listening to the American Democracy Minute, keeping your government by-in for the people. November 6th, the Mesa County, Colorado District Attorney's Office announced charges against